It was a bright afternoon in the quiet village. Children were playing, women were cooking, and men were talking under the tree. Then suddenly, the ground shook. A white coffin rose from the grave, bleeding red like fire. The coffin hung in the air, chasing the villagers round and round. They screamed, "Ewo! Ewo! Ewo!" They cried. They ran, but no one knew why it chased them. No one knew whose coffin it was, but everywhere it flew, someone fell and died. Long before the bleeding coffin began to fly, there lived an old widow named Mama Ruth. She stayed alone at the end of the village, in a small broken hut near the forest. Her husband had died many years ago, and she had no child, no friend, and no one to talk to. She sold fruits from the forest to feed herself, but the villagers hated her. They called her a witch. They said she used her witchcraft to kill her husband. Some even said she ate her unborn children. When she passed by, people closed their doors. When she spoke, no one answered her, and when she brought her fruits to the market, no one bought them. Still, Mama Ruth never fought back. She only cried at night, sitting by her small fire, whispering to herself, "Oh God, why do they hate me? My hands are clean." One afternoon, the sun was very hot. Mama Ruth was weak and hungry. She had not eaten for 2 days. She walked slowly on the village road, holding her empty basket. Some young men saw her and laughed. "Look at the witch, she's dying like a goat," they shouted. Mama Ruth tried to speak, but her voice was gone. Her legs shook. Then she fell to the ground and never got up again. The villagers stood around her body and laughed. They thought she was pretending, but when they touched her, she was cold. Mama Ruth was dead. The village women clapped their hands. The men smiled and said, "Finally, the witch is gone." They buried her in a white coffin, the most beautiful coffin in the market. They even danced and sang around her grave, saying, "Now our village is free." But as they danced and laughed, none of them knew that their peace was buried with her, for the spirit of Mama Ruth was not asleep, and her anger was just beginning. The next day, the sun was shining bright. Children played, women cooked, and men talked happily. Everyone in the village was free at last, or so they thought. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Birds flew out of the trees, dogs started barking, and the wind grew strong. Before anyone could understand what was happening, the white coffin that held Mama Ruth rose from the grave. It floated high in the air, dripping red like blood. Thick red liquid poured to the ground, turning the sand red. The villagers screamed and ran in every direction. "Mama Ruth's coffin is flying," they shouted. "The witch has come back." The coffin chased them round and round the village. It moved fast, like it had eyes. When people tried to hide, it followed them. When they ran into their houses, the red blood splashed through their windows. The air was full of screams and fear. Men fell on their knees begging, "Please, please forgive us." But the coffin did not stop. It followed them to the market, to the river, and to the hills. Wherever they went, it was there, bleeding and flying. Days passed, but peace never came. People could not farm. Children could not go to school. Every afternoon, when the sun grew hot, the coffin would rise again, bleeding red and chasing everyone. The village became empty. Huts were left open, food spoiled on fires, and goats ran wild. The people were tired of running. They knew this was not just a dream, it was Mama Ruth's spirit crying for justice. Finally, the village chief called a meeting. "We cannot live like this anymore," he said with fear in his eyes. "The coffin is angry. The spirit wants something from us. We must find help before we all die." So that night, the villagers packed their things and began a long journey to the next village to find the most powerful native doctor in the land, hoping he could tell them how to stop the flying bleeding coffin. When the frightened villagers reached the neighboring village, they went straight to the biggest shrine deep inside the forest. The great native doctor sat on a wooden stool, surrounded by fire and strange marks on the ground. The villagers fell on their knees crying. "Please help us," they shouted. "A white coffin is flying in our village, bleeding red and killing our people. We cannot sleep, we cannot eat. Please save us." The native doctor closed his eyes and listened to the wind. Then he spoke in a calm, deep voice. "The spirit that rises from that grave is not evil. It is a cry of pain. The woman you mocked, starved, and buried with laughter was innocent. Her tears soaked the ground, and now her blood speaks from the coffin." The villagers cried louder. "What must we do to make her rest?" they asked. The native doctor said, "You must go back and honor her. Build a big house, a beautiful mansion on her grave. Let her name be written on it for all to see. Let no one live there, for that house will belong to her spirit. Sleep at her grave for 3 days and ask her for forgiveness. Only then will the bleeding coffin stop." The villagers did as he said. They went home, gathered their money, and built a grand white mansion over her grave. They wrote on the wall in bold letters, "Mama Ruth's Mansion of Rest." For 3 days, they slept beside her grave, crying and begging. "Forgive us, Mama Ruth. We are sorry. Please, please, forgive us. Forgive us. We are sorry. Please." On the third day, the ground became still. The air became calm. The white coffin never rose again. The bleeding stopped, and peace returned to the village. From that day, every stranger who passed by the mansion would bow their head and say, "May we never hurt the innocent." Moral lessons: never laugh at someone in pain. Be kind to old people. Do not call people names you do not know are true. Tears of the innocent can speak louder than your words. Always show love, because wickedness always brings sorrow. Dear viewers, thank you so much for watching this story, The Flying Bleeding Coffin. If you enjoyed it and learned something from it, please don't leave without subscribing. Click the subscribe button now. Turn on the bell icon so you won't miss my next powerful story. Please share this story with your friends and loved ones, so they too can learn that kindness always wins and evil always pays back. Stay with this channel, because more deep, emotional and powerful stories are coming your way. God bless you all.